Okay, so now we're going to start painting our watercolor projects. So you want to make sure that your sketch is super duper light, and you can, even as you work, before you start painting an area, you could lighten up those lines a little bit. You don't want to see those lines in your project at the end. Okay, so if anything is dark, when you get to that part, just lighten it up as you go. Okay, so now when we do watercolor painting, you need to think in reverse of how we normally paint. Okay, we normally paint back to front, backgrounds, and we keep building on top of it. We can add highlights on top, but watercolor is different because it's not opaque. So you have to think about your lighter areas first and then build the dark areas around those. So for example, I'm looking right here actually at my calendar. And the leaves of this succulent, okay, they look like they were painted with watercolor. So when the artist painted this, they've really lightest green tones right around here. And then as that dried, they put a slightly darker green accents on it. And then on top, they put the darkest. So again, so thinking from bottom to top. The same thing. So your highlights you have to think about in advance, and that is what you're going to paint first and then work around. So for example, if I was going to paint my fingernail here and I wanted to have a light highlight, I would leave that blank and then I would paint a little bit lighter and then a little bit darker. So you're not going to be able to put light over dark. So keep that in mind, and that's the biggest shift that you have to bear in mind when you start painting. So you have to think about your areas before you start painting them. So for mine, I'm actually going to start with my background. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put some water in here, and I'm going to create a nice mixture. So I'm going to make two different blues.